And we're live. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us here today on Chainlink Live. I'm Mike with the Chainlink community team, and I'm really excited to have Daniel from OIN today. Daniel, welcome to the live stream.
Thank you. Super excited to be here. You guys have an amazing community. It's massive. I'm slightly intimidated, but that's fine. Excited to be
please
here.
Don't be.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's great to have you here.
We're excited.
Amazing. Also want to thank the communities, both the OIN and the Chainlink communities, for joining us here today. Just a brief overview before we start. So the goal of this Q&A live stream is to allow the community to learn more about the integration between OIN and Chainlink, really exploring how these two projects are integrating and working together, and really what is unique and beneficial for the teams, for the ecosystem at large. So the agenda will be essentially 20 to 30 minutes or so, kind of a Q&A chat structure between myself and Daniel. And then towards the end, if we have some time, we will, of course, check the live stream here, the live chat on YouTube, and try to get to as many questions as we can. So please do drop us some questions if you can, if you're watching live. And then towards the end of that, end of the live stream, we'll also add the relevant links to learn more about OIN at the description. So without further ado, Daniel, perhaps we can start this off with you kind of introducing yourself. Maybe tell us a little about yourself, your background, and what you're building.
All right, thanks. That was a great intro. So hi everyone. My name is Daniel Kwak. I am the marketing director for OIN Finance. My background is, I would say, somewhat normal for a lot of people in blockchain. We come from, I don't want to say high powered, but high striving, I guess. But a lot of us come from finance and consulting backgrounds, right? So I come from traditional finance. I started out in equity research, and then I moved on to things like, project consulting, hopped into blockchain, as a business director, and then did more strategic consulting within the industry as well as fundraising. And now I'm at OIN. We found a great use case and a great need in the industry, I guess. And then, that kind of leads into what we do at OIN. It's that we bring DeFi functionality to projects that don't have it, right? We saw that as a massive need in the industry where it's not really being filled. You can say that, there's DeFi projects, but there's not really a DeFi project that kind of really hooks in everyone in the field, right? As part of strategy consulting, while I was at Blockraise, we thought that this is a great in, right? Strategic wise, that's pretty much what every project kind of wants, strives for, especially with this DeFi revolution that's happening right now. There's so many projects who are either trying to get into the DeFi space because they see that it's a very important part of how blockchain industry is going to develop and grow. We saw that it was a great chance, and we just jumped right into it.
Excellent. Thanks for that overview and introduction. And I'd like to learn a little bit more about what you talked about. Kind of bringing DeFi functions to altcoins. Could you clarify, perhaps, expound a little bit further on that?
Yeah. So, I think it's best exemplified by our first product. That's the OIN DAO that's currently on the market. And what it does is it allows projects to mint their own stable coins, right? So for example, if OIN was a customer of the OIN DAO, which is a product, we would be able to go on to OIN DAO and create a staking pool or a collateralization pool, right? And you'd be able to stake OIN or collateralize OIN to mint whatever we wish the name of the stablecoin to be. So for us, it's the USD OIN. And that is a great, I think, kind of a problem solver for a lot of projects. One of our bigger partners, Dash, they're really excited about this because they're a payment provider, right? And stablecoins it's a much needed, I think, medium of exchange for projects to really get into payments. Because from a merchant perspective, the volatility of crypto is kind of, it's very scary. right? Especially for the smaller and the medium-sized guys, volatility can really just tank them and make them go bankrupt. For the larger guys, it's just a massive amount of money that they could lose if things don't really go the way they expect things to go, right? So, projects are incredibly excited that they can not only create, a stablecoin that would link in seamlessly to their ecosystem, but also have it branded, with their own name, right? So with Dash coming in, they'll be able to set up, for example, USD Dash, and they would be able to have the USD Dash integrate seamlessly into their platform. We could give them the, full control of the front end, so they could have their own front end and hook into our back end to pretty much manage their pool however they wish, right? So we give full ownership of the smart contract as well as the pool over to the projects that join. And this really really opens the door for a lot of projects to join in on the DeFi functionalities that have been coming out. That is our first product, and with upcoming products such as the OIN swap, we also give an off ramp, right? So users would be able to, say, for example, mint the USD Dash, go onto OIN swap, which would of course be integrated seamlessly as well. And they'd be able to swap for, say, USDC or USDT, whatever they wish, or even directly into other tokens. This also gives them an opportunity to leverage as well. So if you collateralize, say, $100 of Dash, and you mint, say, $50 of USD Dash, right? You just created $50 worth of stablecoins from collateralizing your $100 of Dash. So you still own the $100 of Dash, right? But you have the $50 that's liquid. So if you really are a believer of Dash as a project and you really want them to grow and you want to hold on to their tokens, you can still leverage that to, say, take a gamble on another projects that you think is, up and coming, or you can use that as a form of, just payment, however you wish. Right? So that's kind of our approach to the whole industry as well, I think. Enabling and empowering other projects with, anything DeFi.
Yeah, very interesting. Thanks for sharing that. So it's almost, if I understand correctly, almost like DeFi as a service. So you're working with Dash and kind of really empowering them to get to that DeFi functionality and capability.
Yeah,
Cool,
no,
cool.
we have some great projects that are partnered as well, right? So we have Paid, for example, we have Avalanche, we have, Matic, Polygon. So we have some awesome projects who are really excited about, kind of the opportunities that this really kind of gives them to have their own branded ecosystem that's just completely enclosed, and they can do, they can develop their ecosystem how they see fit.
Excellent. And I guess diving deep into kind of more focusing on your product suite as well. Could you share a little bit more about OIN DAO, which you mentioned earlier, and perhaps even OIN swap?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Excuse me. So yeah, the OIN DAO, it's Ethereum based currently. We also have BSC Bridge. We also just announced that we received a grant from Near to also build on Near. So we are really becoming cross-chain with this pretty much. We're allowing whoever is in need of this product to really just hook into our system and develop the product for them. The smart contract, the OIN stake, which is kind of the driving force behind the OIN DAO, where users collateralize their tokens and it creates the mints, the stable coins. The OIN stake can also be kind of copied onto other blockchains, right? For example, Near, as I just said. So with all this cross-chain functionality coming in, it also kind of opens the door for us to really get a kickstart on really cross-chain swaps. So if you create, a stable coin on, Ethereum or whatnot, or if you created a stable coin on Near, then we're hoping to, get the cross-chain functionality on OIN swap as soon as possible. But whether or not, that comes out at the same time as OIN swap itself, we will be able to, provide really seamless experience from, a user coming on and with tokens of their favorite projects and staking, minting, and having an off ramp to do, whatever they wish. Right. So the OIN stake, having Ethereum currently, BSC, Near, and we do have some more announcements lined up. it really does, kind of fulfill that cross-chain needs that we've been looking at, opening the doors, empowering other projects. We also build the smart contracts ourselves too, right? So, if the project joins, then we take kind of our template, our go-to for the OIN stake, and we develop that to, kind of fit the project specifications, right? So we do have some guidelines on things like collateralization rates, liquidation rates, where, if the coin or the price of the coin, due to unfavorable market conditions, doesn't do so well, then, it has to liquidate the position to, not really maintain the peg, but I guess to ensure the value of the user's assets, right? So those are the key parameters, right? So the collateralization rate, the liquidation rate, liquidation point, the reward ratio, right? So we also give rewards out. You have the option to give out rewards into your staking pools. Currently, all the projects on there are running on OinStake version 1, which is just one reward. Version 1.5, which will be released quite soon, or is an option for oncoming projects, you're able to reward multiple tokens, right? So you can create a pool where you'll be able to reward not just, your company's tokens, but also any promotional activities that you're doing with another partner projects. You'll be able to, hand them out in that pool as well. Currently, the collateralization ratio is, fixed token to fixed US dollars. So for us, for example, it's 35 OIN to $1 US. So regardless of the price of OIN, it will be 35 to 1, right? So if the price of the OIN goes up, then the collateralization rate actually goes higher. For version 2, which is also coming out quite soon within the quarter, actually quite soon, we're in auditing right now. You'll be able to have fixed price to US dollar, right? So for example, $1.5 worth of OIN to, $1 US, right? And that is, sometimes more attractive to users as well as projects. They both definitely have their ups and downs. One is, if the price does well, then you don't have to, stake as much to create a US dollar. But on the other hand, it is much safer if it goes that way. Right? So yeah, I think that's a pretty good overview of OIN DAO. And OIN Swap is, it's a simple swap. It's just a place for, projects to really just kind of congregate and have an easy off ramp, as well as an on ramp if you need it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for that. And what do you say, or what do you think sets you apart from, let's say other protocols in the industry?
Right. So pretty much, I guess the big one that kind of obviously comes to mind is MakerDAO, right? But you can only mint, say the DAI, and for a stablecoin that is supposed to be pretty much, all encompassing, right? Similar in use case as the USDT or the USDC, where you can, pretty much go into any ecosystem, or you're supposed to be able to go into any ecosystem and, use it as a payment method. Excuse me. Yeah, you can't really have it branded as your own company's stablecoin, right? And you're really beholden to kind of MakerDAO's policies on how they run their collateralization. You're really restricted in what you can and cannot do with it. It's also really hard to join, MakerDAO, right? Top 50, top 20 projects are pretty much given the invitation, and not really much else. For us, if you're a good project, we see that, you're in good standing, as we like to say, then you can join, shoot us an email and we'll see where we can, kind of fit you into our schedule. We do have quite a decent schedule of projects that are joining. So our integration schedule is, somewhat busy for the upcoming short term, but, doesn't matter if you're, top 50 or, top 500. As long as we see that you're an actual project that's really building something, and, you don't even need to have a good use case for it. Some projects join because their mainnet token hasn't been released yet, and they want to give a place for users to stake their tokens. So some of them are using it legitimately just for a staking pool, and that's fine with us. And later on, it really does open them up to integrate a stablecoin into their ecosystem somehow. And some of them are actually thinking of creating use cases for stablecoins just because we have that functionality available for them, right? So, yeah.
Great, thanks for sharing that. And I'm wondering as well, and perhaps you could share with the community as to kind of when we look at OIN's kind of vision, larger vision, let's say, way out in the future, what would you say is your approach to DeFi?
Right. At the fear of repeating myself, I guess, it really is about empowering other projects, right? I think I've said that entirely too many times, this AMA, but it really is. From the beginning, what we didn't want to do was restrict ourselves and, kind of just cater to the big guys only, right? Not only does it make it very hard in terms of, BD, we're restricted to, just a couple of guys, and they're notoriously hard to get to, right? Even if we do have the connections, it's still difficult to fit into their schedule, and so on and so forth. But just in terms of our philosophy about the blockchain industry itself, it really is about kind of opening the doors for everyone, giving them the resources and the tools to use their assets how they wish, so on and so forth. Everybody knows the story of blockchain and Bitcoin and kind of what their at least initial value proposition was, right? So we really are furthering that, I think, by really giving over the tools to use DeFi, use their crypto how they wish. Right? DeFi is decentralized finance, right? And finance out in the real world is about using your assets how you wish, right? People have ownership of their assets, and if they want to do something with it, such as a transaction as a medium of exchange, store of value, vehicle for investments, whatever financial product it is, its true purpose is to really allow you to use your assets how you wish, right? And DeFi, I think, is in a similar vein. It's really becoming something that allows users to use their assets how they wish. And for us, I think it's important that if users can't, use their assets, like right now, it's a very fragmented industry, especially in DeFi. Some projects are DeFi only, some projects are, staking pool only, and all these other things. Then, users have a much harder time of, leveraging whatever the assets they have for whatever uses they wish. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the direction that we're heading in, and we're really keeping to our word, I think, by pushing along this path.
Excellent to hear that. Really like the way you describe DeFi and kind of the vision. I think that's absolutely why we're in it in this industry and in the community as well. So 100% agree with that. And I guess, one of the other things that we'd like to learn more about with OIN is, speaking of the community, could you talk about the approach that you guys have in terms of your governance and how you see governance?
Yeah, so currently, we don't have, kind of the number of, wallet holders or, tokens released that we think is good for, a true DAO governance model. So the features are not released yet, but once we see that, our community is ready, then we will release, the governance functionalities. And primarily what they'll be related to is pretty much, the governance of the actual mechanisms behind the OIN DAO, OIN swap, as well as, kind of the heading for the two products as well. So, the low hanging fruit obviously is, the fee structures, right? You could vote on fee structures, reward ratios, and whatnot, especially at the very least for our coin, our pool. And then further down the line, we're also looking at, for example, how we could kind of hook that in with other projects and their governance models as well, and how their pools on OIN DAO are functioning. And then one step beyond that is similar to voting for exchange listings, right? So, excuse me. So many projects have, many exchanges have the function to vote for whoever project you wish to see on the exchange. So we could have we're looking at a similar functionality for the OIN DAO as well. So if enough members vote on it, then we'll chase down the company and either have them directly come onto OIN DAO, or we could create a pool for them regardless.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. I guess the next question here is the question of the hour, perhaps, is how will you be integrating Chainlink decentralized oracles, and maybe walk us through some of the use cases that you guys have?
Right. So I guess that's why we're all here, right? For Chainlink, it's very simple. You guys provide a very, very easy to understand service, right? People have a hard time understanding what we do, but you guys, it's very easy. You guys are an information provider. And for us, for example, our staking pools all require an API point where, an oracle, where we draw information from the markets. And one of the very important things is, for example, the price, right? So, as I said, we have things like the liquidation points and whatnot. And if we don't have reliable information on the price of the token, and it's very hard for us to say, yes, the token is, the stablecoin is backed by a minimum of $1 worth of, whatever token it may be. And there's also, we're also looking at things like other currencies as well, fiat currencies. And this is what we're really excited about. You guys announced recently that you guys have the Korean won to US dollar integration, right? So. That's right. We're super excited about that, right? I mean, there's no real, Korean won stablecoin yet. We could be the first ones. Dash also was very excited about, the possibility of creating stablecoins for their, geographic regions as well. They have, a massive amount of users in, for example, South America, and for them to, use the US dollar. Kind of makes sense, kind of not, because of fluctuating fiat currencies. So then if then they might have to change currencies, change the price of whatever product the merchants are selling based on foreign exchange rates. But with this, they can just peg it to their own country's currency, or the euro, for example, for the European market, Korean won for Korea, obviously. So yeah, that is pretty much I think one of the big use cases that we have for you guys, and it's a really important driver of kind of the stability and the security of our users' assets.
Excellent, and I'm glad we're able to support, and that's good to hear. Cool. So the next question I have here is, want to learn a little bit more about the community and what how the community plays a role in the growth of OIN. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit more about the OIN community.
Yeah, we're I think just like any community, we have a decent number of them, but obviously select a few that are really vocal within the community, right? And they're as excited about OIN as I am, and we really couldn't be here without them, right? I think it relates back to our talk about the finance industry, right? So for a lot of projects, I feel like, especially in the blockchain industry, it's like asking, what is the role of the public in the financial system, right? What is a bank's, what is the role of the customer in a bank? No, the bank's there to serve the customer, right? It's there to serve the needs of the customer and, be a tool for the customer to use, to do whatever they wish, or whatever the bank is offering. And I think that's the exact same thing with us, right? without the community, we have no users. So then what's the point of OIN existing? Right? It's not like we're, going off on some, very noble, crusade on, say, preserving all artwork or history or knowledge or anything. We're not here to serve a purpose that is, kind of self-serving, right? That is there for the purpose itself. We're here for the purpose of being a great tool that the community can use. And I think that is pretty much the proper question that I try to look at it, right? It's not that, what is the role of the community? It's what is the role for us in terms of the community? But, of course, there are specific things that the community can do, right? Word of mouth is very important in this industry. So, if they tweet about us, if they tell their friends, then, we're super happy about it, right? But yeah, the role of the community is just be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you also mentioned earlier about how OIN wants to empower projects and teams kind of with what your vision is, and really, as you talk about, what are the roles of banks? What is your role? Well, it's to empower the community and help them and create value in the ecosystem. So I think that's a great perspective, and thanks for sharing that. Cool. So I'm just looking through some of the questions that are coming in on the live chat. So I'll select a few here. So one of the questions is actually specifically about your team, and a question about hiring, right? So are you guys looking to hire more people? And yeah, so there's a lot of interested parties here, and community members perhaps. So question is, are you planning to hire more people? And if you are, kind of talk about what specialties or what are you focusing on hiring, which positions, if you can?
Currently, a good chunk of the team is based in China. And obviously they work primarily in Chinese, right? So if excuse me, it's dry here. If you're looking on the dev side, then we would prefer that you speak Chinese, right? If you're looking on the business side, marketing, BD, anything else, then we're not necessarily currently looking specifically. We are looking more towards on the community side, see if we can find some, a better way to grow our community, right? We run a very tight and lean ship. We don't have as many, employees as some of the other projects. And that's because, we feel that, for example, pivoting is one of our great strengths as a company. For example, the OIN swap was originally slated to be released before the OIN DAO, but we saw that, a ton of swap projects were already out on the market. And for us to kind of come in and say, hey, here, look, you can swap now is kind of, I mean, of course, it's good as a company for us to do it, but at the same time, we saw that specific need was already being filled by the market. So coming out with the OIN DAO first would have been, more logical in terms of filling a need, right? And then we can build out the OIN swap to integrate into the OIN DAO. And that is much harder to do with a much larger team, right? To keep an eye on the market and pivot and adapt to the market at a lightning pace, because DeFi is moving at a ridiculous pace right now. It's hard for anybody to keep up. So we aren't necessarily looking to have a massive hiring phase where we take on 20, 30 more people, at least not in the foreseeable future. We may later on, but not at the current moment. We are keeping an eye on maybe someone related to growth of the community. But again, you can't be too sure, right? But if you think, you're an awesome person, which I'm sure every one of you are, and you have some great skill sets, then, drop us a line, send us an email. We'll see what we can do together.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that, Daniel. The next question we have from the community is a question with respect to larger institutional or family offices' ability to use OIN. So are there any challenges that currently exist or that you may foresee with large institutional players or even family offices to use the OIN ecosystem and product?
That is actually a great question. I think that's the first time I've been asked that. But No, it depends on what you're meaning in terms of usage, right? So if you're looking at, okay, can they come in and, say, for example, for a transaction size of say $20 million, can they come in and, buy up enough USD01, which is our stablecoin, to make that transaction? Well, no. We don't actually currently have the TVL to support that. Right? Our TVL currently is sitting about 6 million, and that's because of the recent downturn of the market. It shrunk a little bit, makes me sad. But if you're saying, an institutional family office fund, whoever it is, decides to come in and say, okay, we love your staking idea, so we're going to stake massive amount of, say, OIN, and create stablecoins, and we're going to use those stablecoins for, making other purchases. That's fine. We don't have, servers that are going to crash because you sent a large chunk, right? That's actually done on the Ethereum network. It's all done through a smart contract, so it's actually kind of dependent on the Ethereum network whether it can handle that kind of transaction sizes, whether it can it's congested or not at that time, and all these other things, right? So yeah, we welcome all institutionals. We love big players, and we'd love to have a chat with you.
Good to know. Thanks for sharing that again. Okay, so just jumping back into the last couple of questions before we wrap up here. So Daniel, perhaps you could share if there's anything perhaps that you haven't covered already, if the community would like to learn more about kind of what to expect for the rest of the year for 2021, what's next on the product roadmap, and what will you be focusing on for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so product roadmap, that's exciting for us, I think. As I said, we have the OIN Stake version 1.5 coming out, OIN DAO 1.5. And that gives multiple token rewards into one pool. And that's actually very exciting because it allows a lot of promotional activities for the projects that are on there, as well as for us, right? So one of the ways that we will be rewarding our holders is to reward them with fee sharing, and the multi-token rewards may be a great avenue of that. But to do that, we do have to create a new staking pool. And we don't have a method of kind of upgrading the staking pool in and of itself. And that's for security reasons as well, right? It's so that the users can feel safe and assured that we can't just come in and change the staking pool without the user's consent. So that is by design currently. But for fee sharing, yeah, that is definitely a possibility coming up with OIN DAO 1.5. OIN DAO version 2 with the price pegged stablecoin, that really does seem to appeal to some of projects, right? Some like the the token to dollar ratio, some like the dollar to dollar ratios. So that again opens us up to a whole bunch of other projects that are interested in joining. And other than that, OIN DAO is just going to go through so much development, I feel. With the near integration with the other upcoming, not announced yet, integrations. We'll also have front ends different, right? Projects will have their custom front ends to the OIN DAO. We also have NFTs coming up. For example, we just recently announced a partnership with Meme where we have, what is it? First of all, we will be releasing our own NFT collection, and users will be able to stake, OIN for pineapples. But also a really cool thing is projects can join the OIN DAO, and once they do, they have the option to get a fast-tracked, standardized NFT collection package created by Meme. Right. I think that's so cool. I think that's something very awesome for the communities of pretty much everyone involved. And I think OIN DAO is just going to start sprawling out like that. It's just going to get more and more kind of value propositions, I guess, for whoever's involved, both for the projects and the end users. And then we, of course, have the OIN swap coming out later on too. And that really does provide, kind of the off-ramp that everyone's been looking for, right? They're saying, okay, what can I do with the stablecoin that I minted, right? Is it just a staking pool, or can I actually do something with it? Well, currently, it's up to projects on how they wish to provide use cases for their stablecoins, right? The first one to actually achieve that was STPT. They were able to list their stablecoin, the USTP, created by the OIN DAO, on Curve. So users could go on Curve with the USTP, swap for, say USDT, and then turn it around and use that to buy more STPT. But the other projects don't currently have that functionality available, because that takes time and effort and resources to actually develop that. So some of them are perfectly happy with leaving it as a staking pool currently, until a time where they can actually provide the use cases. But I think having the OIN swap for us be released kind of automatically provides that off-ramp, automatically provides that use case just by joining the OIN DAO. And that's something we're super excited for as well. And there's also things like related to governance that I haven't mentioned yet today, that we will announce in a bit, that is kind of exciting. It does kind of link in governance of the OIN to the governance of joining projects. That's something that we also are looking forward to.
Excellent. So there's definitely a lot to look forward to for the rest of the year, and thanks for sharing kind of the overview there. I guess the last thing to ask is really, where can the audience find or follow the rest of kind of the progress and things to learn more about, like the governance and all that? So where would be the best place to go?
Yeah, so I'm sure the wonderful people at Chainlink will leave links to our socials on YouTube, but we primarily use Twitter and Medium for our push, right? Similar to most blockchain projects. Medium, we do have some great information on the specific partnerships. On Twitter, oh, is that the camera?
Yeah, we lost you for a bit. It's okay.
Here, we'll use my laptop's camera. There you go.
No problem.
Hello.
Yeah, we're back.
So we'll be using, Medium is a great place to come in just for, further explanation, kind of more of a dive into the partnerships and the projects, as well as the products that we'll be releasing. We also plan to have, a lot more kind of informational articles out. Currently, it's dominated by partnerships and tutorials, because we do have some awesome partnerships. So yeah, come join us on Medium if you want detailed information. If you just want quick excerpts, then you can follow us on Twitter. You can join us on Telegram. We have 2 Telegram channels, the announcements in the group, right? And we have some awesome community members who will absolutely welcome you with open arms.
Excellent. And like you said, Daniel, absolutely, we will leave the links at the right below in the description for anyone to check those out. So no worries there. Well, really, that wraps up our Q&A for today. I want to thank you, Daniel, for joining us and sharing so much great information about OIN. So thanks again for for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. We're very excited to have Chainlink with us. So
Thank
it's good
you.
to say hi to your
I also want to. Yeah. Absolutely. I also want to thank the rest of the community for joining us, both the OIN and the Chainlink communities for joining us here today. And also want to thank and give a shout out to my colleague Juan, who's been manning the YouTube live chat and then getting us all the questions there. So thank you there, Juan. And yeah, for everyone else, thank you guys for joining us and watching the video. Please do hit the like button and subscribe to the official Chainlink YouTube channel. So that's it for today. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next time.